My cabbages.
All right. So,
Now we're on theme.
yeah,
It
perfect.
only took us a minute and a half.
We were. So welcome. This is our kind of Avatar podcast. I believe it was called. We decided.
Yeah. The last podcast, Avatar news and discussion. Welcome aboard.
Yeah, we're kind of going to be mostly following Avatar Studios and news coming out of that. In case you haven't heard, something I'm super pumped about. We're big fans of The Last Airbender, Legend of Korra, and all associated projects. Avatar Studios has been created by Nickelodeon, which means that more Avatar is coming out ever, which is great.
Yes,
which is fantastic.
Viacom CBS announced
A1.
in February the new studio based solely on the Avatar and Legend of Korra universes.
Yes.
This
Oh
means
my gosh.
comics, movies, TV shows, miniseries, web
Everything.
series.
I
Shmini.
hope they make it's my dream for them to make, and I'm sure I can find a fan-made version of this online, but a tabletop game based in the Avatar universe, essentially Avatar-themed Dungeons & Dragons, because if they sold that through Nickelodeon, they would make a killing. The figures, the booklets, everything. Oh, people...
Just being able to participate in that world would
yes.
draw people.
Oh, absolutely. But
Because the world itself is so interesting, being able to have a role in that would be killer.
100%. And I got to give a shout out to Netflix for absolutely just being terrible at their existence with the live action Avatar that was sponsored and helped their creators were helping with that.
Yes, okay. Netflix,
and then they apparently Nope, not yet, but they
the
left
creators
the program
left the whole program
because they
from
weren't
Netflix.
allowed to do what they wanted to do.
They felt Netflix was diverting too far from their original creation.
Yep. So they
just
left that, and that freed them up to create the Avatar Studios. So
hey, Netflix, I
shout out. Yeah, they went back to Nickelodeon.
And Nickelodeon's like, we see the potential. We see the potential.
We get it. We're sorry.
Viacom
we
CBS gave it the fat rubber stamp.
Bro, we did not advertise Legend of Korra for any of the last two seasons, and you guys beat out the ratings for everything. How? What? Print the money for me.
Netflix, I'm curious. So you knew it was a smart idea to bring Avatar and The Legend of Korra to your platform.
Yes, that very good idea. 100%.
Move, because
yes.
guess what? In May of 2020, the most watched series on Netflix,
Give you three guesses.
Avatar, and Avatar.
Whoa.
I win.
What? Are you for real? Is that?
The most watched show on Netflix in May was Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I didn't know there was. You made it. I thought there were three different series. I'm like, and they were all top.
Oh no!
That would be wild.
Can you imagine? But
Jeez.
yeah, just
I
no.
believe that.
It was the most watched show, and
The
so
movie was
I
third.
understand wanting to make a live action
There's
series.
not a lot to watch on
I
Netflix
understand.
these days.
I understand the want of it. And Netflix, you make your own series, and some of them are so goddamn good.
They really are.
Oh my god!
Some of them hit.
How
How'd you do
How
that?
did you fuck up so
What
badly?
They changed Katara's
How-
age, which it was always a big thing for Katara to be a little bit younger, because the fact that she has to step up and be the mother figure while being
the
like
younger
one of the
sister
younger
in the motherly role
exactly
was an awesome
it's
dynamic.
it's a juxtaposition. It's a good part of her character, and she kind of overcomes the complex through the show. We're getting ahead of ourselves here.
We totally are, but
you're messing up real hard, Netflix. You
Right.
got respect the creators, respect their decisions. If you want to explore a different subset of the Avatar universe or a different scenario, sure, but you can't do that in the just retelling of the original Last Airbender,
right,
in
because
live action.
by trying to make Katara a more powerful or more matronly figure, you neutered Sokka.
Yeah.
He's the
you
protective
neutered
older
Katara
brother.
even. Yeah, exactly. You
And
neutered
because
because it's her stepping up to that role. It shows how strong she really is.
right, she never took care of a sibling beforehand. She never had to, but now she is taking care of not only her sibling, but seemingly a village.
Yeah,
She's
absolutely.
one of the younger adults
but
in
still
the village.
doing everything.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, we're
So
definitely
Avatar Studios is created.
Yep.
Netflix, you dropped the ball.
Yep. So with that, we're going to be following
sorry.
all news, related to Avatar Studios,
Yes.
such as, I believe you were mentioning this. I didn't see much on it, but Suki Alone comics.
Suki Alone. Yes, there is a new comic coming out featuring Suki, our favorite Kyoshi warrior, coming out June 22nd.
Well, I don't know. At the end, Ty Lee becomes one, right?
That's true.
Second favorite.
Yeah, second favorite.
It's a tie.
It's a tie. It's a tie.
There is
That's
some
an
bubble
interesting
there.
matchup, because I feel like Suki has clearly proven how strong she is, right? Like Suki in the Boiling Rock, I think part 2.
And that's what Suki
literally
Alone is about.
Yeah. Okay, so literally, they're like, "Oh man, how are we gonna capture the captain of the ship?" And Suki just is like this, and runs over an entire rioting mob, climbs up the side of a ship, detains I think 3 or 4 firebending guards at the same time while being an entirely non-bender, not chi blocking or anything, just manhandling these individuals, and then snares up the captain. It's just like, oh, I tied him in a bow for you guys. Let's get out of here.
Okay, can we just say also the one thing that was like just hilarious to me was when she flipped his headband around, pulled it down over his mouth, and then tightened it to gag him. I was like,
bro,
oh my god, like she just pulled that off in like
actually,
one move.
Now that I'm verbalizing this, Ty Lee's specialization is in the chi blocking, which not only makes your arm not work, but specifically stops your bending because you can't move that arm anymore.
Chakras,
so I think
you're blocking the chakras.
So Ty Lee might be strong because she knows the fighting styles, like the bending styles, so well because she has to combat those. But maybe Suki doesn't follow those, so she might. It's difficult. We are. But yeah, Suki Alone.
Suki Alone is very exciting because she's one of those underrated characters of the game.
Absolutely.
That she is not at the forefront of people's.
She's off screen for a long time.
Right. When people think of the gang, generally Suki is not the first person you think of. You think of Zuko, Toph, Katara, Sokka, Aang.
Usually once Sokka crosses your mind, then Suki starts coming in because you think of them more as a pair. Like,
I feel like
she really starts coming in at the end, though.
Yeah.
After,
she's in the beginning and the end.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes,
I don't think she's ever seen in season 2. I don't think
season 2 she's seen in the Serpent's Pass when she is going with.
That's right, because she saves Toph.
Correct.
She saves Toph.
She saves Toph from
drowning.
Drowning, yes. And Toph gives her a big old smooch on the cheek because she's like,
"Thank you, Sokka." And then it's like, "Hey, you can
also, can we just say Suki played that off totally well? She wasn't like, "Oh, you're trying to kiss my man. Oh, you got a crush on him." She's like, "Actually, it's Suki."
Yeah.
And is like literally totally fine with it. Never mentions it again, and is like, "Yeah, I realize you have a crush, but you're 12 and I'm hot."
Yeah. Also, yes.
Also, Sokka was clearly going when he was waiting for Zuko.
Yeah, the rose in the mouth.
Yeah.
Much. Yeah, we're getting ahead of ourselves again. We're professionals at doing that, by the way. The entire reason we created this was just so we could talk about this.
We want to talk about Avatar.
We've been wanting to talk about Avatar for so long.
It's you who get to listen to it.
This podcast is actually impossible to turn off. Literally impossible. It's not. Don't test that.
We figured this out when we figured out that Michael was impossible to turn off.
It's true. It's literally impossible. Anything will make me horny. Anyway, moving.
Avatar podcast.
On that note, we just wanted to mention we're gonna kind of establish the world just before episode 1. We're kind of gonna do like a pre-episode discussion every time, just on the previous episode.
Yes,
and stuff like that.
We are doing an episode watch through every week. We're going to be watching one episode of Avatar. We're gonna have a pre-discussion about some of the things we're expecting to see. We've both seen the series. We've seen both Legend of Korra and Avatar many times. In fact, I have a tattoo of Avatar. I love it so much. And we are going to have a pre-discussion about the episode, watch the episode, and then come back to our podcast and talk about things that we liked, disliked, some theories about, like deeper dives into the episodes.
Yeah. Just so maybe some symbolisms that we catch, this, that, the other thing. Especially on like repeat watch-throughs, we can really focus on like what themes are trying to be drawn and junk like that.
Yes.
Yes. That being said, we will warn you now, we will be including spoilers in our discussions and stuff like that, stuff on future episodes and future series. While we do encourage you, if you've never watched Avatar, to absolutely
watch it.
Oh my God.
Please watch it.
Sincerely.
It's like amazing.
It's fantastic.
You're going to love
it. To help put it in terms of cartoon shows, SpongeBob SquarePants, The Last Airbender.
Whoa.
Maybe swap those.
Okay.
But nothing it's on the same tier. Nothing comes close to that. You can have any third place that you want, but those first 2 slots are taken, obviously.
And for
Reddit thread today about people just posting their favorite SpongeBob quotes. It was like 750 comments.
I saw that.
Yeah.
And every single
one,
the second they said
just blowing from Stupid Town.
Yeah.
Just
you get a clear visual with the quote.
Oh, every single time. But yeah,
for me, I think the difference with SpongeBob and Avatar is story arc.
Yeah, no, they're absolutely.
There's top tier story
SpongeBob
arc cartoon and then top tier
entertainment
cartoon.
just purely
like,
for the
anything can
laughs,
happen,
giggles.
And we have established story. I
Yep.
think with those two dynamics in mind, Avatar and SpongeBob are at the top of their game.
Absolutely.
In their respective subcategories.
Yes.
Also, make sure to check out our SpongeBob podcast coming soon.
So, did Sandy really have the ability to chop SpongeBob in half? Clearly, she's been capable of destroying buildings. No, okay, we're moving on. Karate chop. Karate chop that topic. So
we're gonna bend that one away.
Yeah, we're just gonna. Speaking of bending, we were talking about establishing the world, and we were discussing this early. But bending is it's obviously magic, right?
Not magic, water bending.
Like you move, and it's like psychic powers, but only on your element, and it's so obviously like magic. It's fantasy, clearly, but the way it's set up in the world makes it never feel magic or fantastical. They did an excellent job establishing it.
You're at one with nature, but you're not uncommon in your ability.
Exactly.
You might be uncommon in your skill. You might be uncommon in the way you use your ability, but the ability itself is a part of the natural Avatar world. And I think that is something that always kind of drew me in was their ability to bring nature and society together with their world.
Yeah.
Was like society innately can bend nature to help our society. So
which is reflected of our world. That's just how it is. We learned how to make concrete, and we're in a basement. We're below ground level, and we are A-okay because there are walls around us that are, very stable that we've made, that we adapted this to our environment. We're in an air-conditioned...
We have created waterways through continents, okay?
So our boats don't have to go as far.
Right.
So they run aground.
Yep.
And in that vein,
Suez Canal.
we've created islands.
Yeah, Suez Canal.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah, off track is our profession.
We're on the horn Fire Nation.
Oh my God.
We're mixing a lot.
BoJack Horseman, let's go. BoJack Fireman.
Vincent Adult Katara.
Yeah.
Come on, do your podcast.
Okay,
guys.
so essentially,
we're professionals here.
World of Avatar is each assorted people between the different nations have essentially psychic powers that allow them to, through martial art movements, move different elements, fire, water, air, and earth, to their control. There is one individual, the Avatar, who is able to bend all four. And the Avatar is reincarnated after they die into the next order of what, the bending is.
So there'd be an Avatar who was born with the water ability, who needs to learn the fire, earth, and air, and then it would move on to Earth, who needs to learn the fire, air, and water, and then in that cycle, vice versa.
This is all covered in the show, so, blah, blah, blah. But that's essentially the base concept. Another key point is that because the Avatar is reincarnated, he actually can contact and use the power and skill of all of their past lives in something called the Avatar state.
Power, skill, and knowledge.
Yes. So all that being included together means that if there is ever a most powerful individual in the world, it's going to be the Avatar. And so... kind of starting off in the world of Avatar, it's established in the intro to the first episode that the Avatar has been missing for 100 years, and the Fire Nation has kind of wiped out all airbenders as far as we know of, and they seem to be setting their eyes on the Water and Earth nations to make sure that it's just like firebenders rule the world, yeah.
It's sort of like fascism. And when I say sort of like fascism, it's fascism.
Yeah, almost exactly like fascism. And by almost, I mean yes. But yeah, so that's essentially the established world. Before we go,
This is a kid's cartoon.
This is a child's cartoon.
This is a kid's cartoon about children in war.
Yeah.
Children suffering and growing and developing and nurturing through
and
a
nearly
war
dying.
and a genocide.
Yeah, no, and literally, like, I think, episode 2 or 3, they're like, oh, hey, buddy, you, main character, everyone you ever knew or loved has died.
Yeah.
your entire people has been obliterated.
And at this point, if you're thinking, oh, dude, spoiler. Okay, come on. It's 2005. It came out in 2005. If you haven't seen it by now.
And we also, spoiler warnings, I specifically mentioned.
Specifically. He said, I'm going to spoil stuff.
At this point, you're a masochist.
And you enjoy it. You enjoyed it.
Hey, guess what?
Like it at this
Darth
point.
Vader kills Dumbledore. Get wrecked.
Whoa.
What?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry about that one. That one was, I think, 2001.
I've never even seen Star Trek!
No! Con!
Day 382 on the Avatar podcast.
But so we're going to go watch episode 1 real quick so we have it fresh in our mind for the post-episode discussion. We advise you to watch it now, or if you've already watched it, then we're just going to fade out and in real quick, and then we'll do our main discussion.
Yes. Episode 1, The Boy in the Iceberg. We'll see you when we come back.
Who is that boy?
Hey everybody, welcome back. We just finished our first episode of the Avatar series, The Boy in the Iceberg. Hope you just finished your first episode as well. We got some things to talk about.
Indeed we do. We have several things.
So, the Avatar world is pretty cool. So, Katara narrates a story. She is our guide as the viewer, as she is Aang's guide, in this new world that he is kind of awakening to. After 100 years of being in the ice.
100 years in the iceberg. It's pretty neat that they let it happen really naturally, him finding out the 100 years. They don't he's not out and then they're not instantly like, oh my god, an airbender, we haven't seen one. No. It's more like the grandmother, that's the one who really gets the weight of seeing an airbender for the first time in such a long time. She's the one who...
On his side of it, I feel like I said with Zuko, there are a couple mentions in his introduction of like we had said before, the grandparent or your dad searched, his dad searched, and the great grandfather searched.
Yeah.
Nobody fucking has found this.
No one's found this dude.
And then, but Zuko doesn't even miss a beat. He's like, head a course for the light.
Bro.
Giant beam of light. Maybe that's the magical being I've been looking for.
Perhaps.
Something I do want to mention, though, because you mentioned that it was Katara's grandmother that mentioned him, yeah, we haven't seen an airbender in 100 years. We thought they were extinct.
Extinct
is dead. There are no more.
Extinct is not a word lightly thrown around.
Right.
Yeah.
But not only from Kana to say that, because when Katara was narrating, she said, my grandmother used to tell me stories of the old times. Kana was the one telling her originally about the Avatar and about the air nomads and how the world used to be. She was that seed of hope that Katara had, I think.
Absolutely.
And seeing her kind of change in that dynamic where she's, the seed of hope, but she's also the person to bring realism. Katara, come on, you got chores.
Yeah.
Come on now.
She's doing both simultaneously.
Right.
I
really like that aspect.
We also get, we were talking for a moment about Zuko, are the establishing moments, the first meeting of Iroh and Zuko, perfectly sum up the beginning of their character arcs. Iroh's very calm, lax, is encouraging Zuko's patience and stuff like that. Very, very chill vibes, mentions tea, jasmine tea, all that.
His first quote is, I'm not going to be able to finish my game.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's just a really good pilot. It sets up all the main characters.
So many pieces are put into place.
Yeah, the relationship between the siblings and Aang, the relationship, like you said, between Iroh and Zuko, it sets all of those up very well.
Yes.
Yeah, Zuko is this angsty, abrasive teen.
You'll never understand me.
Right. It's not a phase, Mom,
It sets up a great reason for Katara to need to leave to try and find both a waterbending teacher and to try and get Aang to learn, waterbending in the future. That not that she knows he's the Avatar yet, but when she does, that's another reason for her to go.
Right.
Sokka has been shown to be very protective of Katara, kind of alluding to him obviously going on this trip. Speaking of Sokka, real quick, a quote that shown out to me, despite him being obviously shown up as comic relief in this, episode, is that your dads are relying on you to be the men while they're gone. And that's exactly the pressure he feels. Yeah. Well,
not
just
even on
him
the
talking to the
flashback.
kids.
When he's talking to the kids, he's like, while the men of this tribe are at war, it's up to you to be like the men of the tribe.
And that's so much what he's feeling. That's probably why, like, don't get me wrong, Katara, like, you are obviously helping out an absolute insane amount in the village.
You wash all the clothes.
He feels like he has a different responsibility of essentially prepping in case the war comes home. That's why he has the guard tower. That's why he has the spear and the club and everything.
Yeah. Right. Like Katara's like, I need to make sure people are like living well.
Yes.
I need to make sure I'm taking
Well
care of
cared
our
for.
home. And he's like, I need to make sure people are alive.
Like, yes,
I
like
need to make sure survival happens. There's a
Katara's
reason
worried
Sokka
about
and
the
Katara
internals.
are fishing.
Yeah.
Everyone else in the village taking care of their kids. They're the ones out getting food.
Yeah.
For the whole village.
Yeah. And that's quite possibly like, don't get me wrong, not saying Sokka's not misogynistic and sexist or whatever, but I would definitely be mad pissed off if the entire reliability of a village was on my shoulders and what I thought was a secure catch of a fish was ruined by suddenly a bucket full of water dumping on me. I'd be pretty upset.
Right, like you gotta understand
I'm not excusing the sexist misogyny. Sokka, you check yourself. But anger, understandable.
Right. Like, you just got a whole bunch of water dumped on you. Like, I would be
And he didn't see her floating the fish around.
Right.
But
she was really.
She did say, I caught one,
absolutely.
Honestly, I was thinking, like, if she said, I caught one, and I'm already trying to catch a fish, it's like, okay, well, you have a better...
You have one right now,
I turn around to see the fish hovering 3 feet out of the water.
I will say she probably doesn't bend much, as shown by her nervousness. My guess is that when she said, I caught one... He's probably like, cool, if you caught it, it's in the boat. Let me focus on mine. We can get this done quicker.
Right.
So probably not even in his mind. And then he's like, oh, you were using the magic water that you're not supposed to use, and you didn't tell me. And of course I get wet
water
and we ruin the
bending.
fish. So I'm not saying, but whatever. But so, yeah.
One thing I want to bring up, too, when they were in the kayak, just in the water, there was danger there.
Yeah.
The world itself, no war, no enemies, just nature, just survival is dangerous.
They're living in the equivalent of Antarctica.
Right. And when she said, are you hoping some other monster comes along before you freeze to death? Yeah, he'd probably freeze to death.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
That's your number one enemy right there is like, yeah, he'd probably would have frozen to death.
The environment, bro.
He's already soaked. He's wet. In the Arctic, or in the South Pole, in the Antarctic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Last place you want to be wet. That and Kevin Spacey's house.
Bringing it.
So, coming to Hope.
Okay. Wank.
It was Katara's. Right. It was Katara's. One of those things she mentioned in the narration of the intro was, "I still have hope." That is a central aspect of her character.
They even parody how much she focuses on that in the Ember Island Players.
Right. Like, they established
I just have so much hope.
Like, they established it from start to finish. It's like, I'm hopeful for the future. So no matter
in case you haven't watched yet, that
no matter how people feel or how bad the situation looks, I'm hopeful.
Yeah, it's a founding character trait
for the future. Yeah, that squirt just came right back up.
It's the reverse squirt.
Speaking of character traits and not the reverse squirt, Jesus. Iroh and Zuko's next interaction really, helped me hit nails on the heads. Once again, helping establish their characters and their relationship is Zuko's doing the first bending form thing where he's essentially trying to, I assume, learn fire bending to its max. And Iroh points out bending does not come from the muscles. It comes from the breath. And when Iroh demonstrates a strike, the fire literally goes, he bends like this, and it literally goes directly up to Zuko's face and curls outward. The level of control he had over that fire blast was insane.
Yeah,
and Zuko does not blink. And this is weird for me because part of Zuko's identity, you don't know this if you haven't watched further yet, but he literally is on this quest because someone burned his face and he was dishonored. Yeah. I feel the fact that he does not flinch, bro, that Zuko's cold-blooded right now, because if there's any, like, bro, I would absolutely have PTSD. Any fire coming near my face ever, but he is cold as ice. He
like
does
that
not
shows
blink.
Level
a
of
mixture
trust?
of level and trust, but also just I feel like Zuko has abandoned any feelings of emotion other than his obsession with the Avatar.
Yeah.
It
That,
literally
and
does not
maybe even,
matter.
like, if
if
I'm
his
getting
arm gets
burned
cut
right
off
now,
for it, does not matter.
Maybe even like if I'm getting burned right now, I deserve it.
Yeah,
Like,
he could
this
even
is
be
a form of punishment that I've seen before.
this is a natural reaction. This is
right. I lashed out against an elder. You know.
yeah.
That
and
could be not
because
a reasonable response, but
it's something.
it's a realistic response that he's seen
Iroh
before.
tries to point out that it's an impossible task, like to do this, but Zuko's trying on doing it because he does not want to believe that his father doesn't care about him. He believes that his father's just trying to make him grow. He's still clinging on to the hope that his father isn't just some dickhead that's just abandoning him. So when Iroh goes to do it, he's just like, oh, yes, something that parents are supposed to do. No problems here. And then he's like, oh, I guess they didn't do it that time. I must not have been bad enough. Okay, this is the line.
So would you say there's a parallel then between Katara and Zuko from the start, where it's a journey with a hopeful inclination? Where it's like if you cannot complete your journey without hope.
I feel
so. If you,
in the sickest of ways, Zuko does have hope.
It's
that burning hope that he's going to catch the Avatar. He's going to stop the one thing that could prevent the Fire Nation from winning their war, and then he'll
be reaccepted into the family.
Right,
so
and
there is hope.
And that's actually something that Iroh touches on in an episode, I believe it's episode 9, called The Storm, where he says the Avatar gives Zuko hope. Because it's his chance.
I feel like the biggest difference is for Zuko, unfortunately, it is false hope. Because it is meant to be a Herculean task. It's literally designed to be impossible. It's the South Park episode where, like, hey, if you manage to bring democracy to Cuba, you can go, and he does it, and you're like, what? But
you lied to me.
Yeah.
We still don't want you going.
But here's later in the series, Zuko accomplishes killing the Avatar and is accepted back and realizes this is terrible. Like, like partially through self-reflection and growth over the series, but partially because he realizes that he was kicked out for who he was. He was like, why are you doing that when we can do other things? We don't have to kill these people. He values life. It's part of who he is in general, and that's why he's removed. And, man, whole thing is...
Zuko's arc in general is one of my favorite character arcs from the entire series. Maybe the most important arc of the entire series, but God, it just starts off so well. It just starts off so well.
Speaking of good starting off points, I noticed one specific design choice they made with him at the beginning is they did not make him he has no appeal. He is mostly
pale,
bald,
scarred,
pale. He's extremely pale. The scar is very much emphasized. It's shown in its entirety. No hair covering up any portion of it. He's got like the baldness.
There's no warmth.
There's no
him.
Style. No, the
he's
pointed
a firebender
shoulders
with no warmth to him.
Like exactly. It's like they very much take anything that could give you any inclination of like, oh, I could be on. No, clearly he's there's no visually appealing traits to him, so he's considered like it's just considered negative. Like
they almost make him the enemy visually.
They want you to have no aspirations of being on this person's side. But as he grows and he changes internally, they also show external growth and changes that make him a lot less abrasive.
Yeah.
And kind of more
adding some color to the skin tone, maybe giving him a little hair.
He doesn't have gigantic spikes on his shoulders. He's just wearing relatively normal clothes. His hair grows out. Yeah, that's a big one. And
dude,
it essentially
girls love Zuko's hair.
Girls love Zuko.
At you. I know he was your first crush.
Not just girls love Zuko. I see you. No, don't hide. No, I see you. It's okay. It's okay. It's Zuko.
We understand. We understand. And moving on, however, I do want to talk about going back to Sokka and Katara. So Aang pops out of the ice, or he's still in the ice, but he pops out of the water. You know, they're like, there's a person in there. Sokka's first thing is,
caution.
Katara, we don't know what that thing is.
Yes.
Fear of the unknown.
Yes.
Fear of the unknown is an innate human personality
and
trait.
especially because Sokka, we've established, is the one defending from external things. Meanwhile, Katara sees a person, and her character has been established as caring for the people of the village. So she sees a person, and she says, "Care go burr."
Right, and Sokka goes, fear of the unknown.
External,
last time they
avoid.
saw something unknown, it was a ship in the distance that came and wiped out some of their people.
Yeah.
Right.
Including Mom.
Yeah.
Ha ha ha.
Sorry, Mom. But yeah, and so fear of the unknown is not only a way to survive, but it's I wouldn't say a healthy fear, but it kept him alive.
Yeah.
It kept him alive. And
Absolutely.
there's a reason why he doesn't want any of those external factors going into place, because he knew that just kayaking was dangerous.
Yeah.
Why are we about to bust open some random dude trapped in an icicle?
Are we sure that, and
That's my nice club.
yeah, bro,
Like, they've never seen anything think you've probably lived 5, 6, 7, 8 years just we go fish, we build a fire,
Right.
wash the clothes, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
All you're doing. And then suddenly that's the first thing out of the ordinary is a kid in a block of ice with
what looks like a giant beast.
Right.
Yeah.
Huge beast.
And speaking of this, shout out to Katara for caring enough to break open the ice. But
She could have just left.
she could absolutely could have
let's
just
not deal with that. Let's
like,
just go home.
bro, that beast snared that kid in there and
Yeah.
must be feeding on him.
There's a
Man.
million ways to take that.
Man.
Right.
But
It's got giant horns on its head. I don't want to be at the receiving
Bro.
end of that thing.
and let's be real, when Appa licks Aang, just one little flick of the tongue and Aang's gone.
Yeah.
Like, if Appa wanted it, Aang's not there anymore.
Okay. People underestimate. Appa could literally just eat everybody.
Yes.
Why doesn't Ross just eat the other friends? Like,
That's a deep Futurama reference. I am Lur. Why does Ross, the biggest of the friends, not simply eat the other four?
I didn't even know that was right. You got me with that one.
I didn't know it was a Futurama reference. I was referencing Reddit. Okay.
Oh, okay, wait.
Well, maybe
The deepest.
it's a chain of
Yeah,
reference.
Right. But yeah, and so Appa, he puts so much of the story on his back.
Yo, literally.
Literally and figuratively.
The vehicle
Appa is
driving the
amazing.
story.
Yeah.
Another big thing that I noticed was specifically Sokka's being like, they're counting on you to be the men, showing that he's a kid that's essentially being forced to grow up. And Katara being like, I haven't done this since I was a kid. Katara, you're 14.
Right, and that's why Aang says,
Katara,
you still are
a kid, bro.
Because in his mind, he's like, you're 2 years older than me. But in her mind, she's like, I'm an adult woman.
Yeah.
I have adult woman
You've been doing the responsibilities for probably the past however long. She was probably very, very young when.
She was 7.
Yeah, so I mean, for the past 7 years, you just
gotta
been.
think earlier on. I mean, if they equate it to how life is in real life, the average life expectancy wasn't always 80 to 100.
Right. It was
they
60s-ish,
Yeah.
and especially for an isolated community like that, because they're
Yeah.
living pre-industrial.
Yeah, and they don't get medicine. They might not have a lot of great healers.
A doctor, you know what I mean? There might not even be
Yeah.
a doctor, or
Yeah.
any kind of medical advancements.
Yep.
Nutrition.
And honestly,
You're surrounded by seals and penguins.
Yeah.
You can eat seals and penguins. There's no plants.
high keto diet,
High
a
keto.
lot of blubber.
And I understand with that kind of
Elysial.
isolation, they say, I haven't had contact with our sister tribe in a long, long time.
Yeah, literally
that kind of
opposite side of the world.
isolation will breed that fear that Sokka has.
Absolutely,
naturally.
especially since unlike the North Pole where they have plenty of waterbenders and good defenses, they have nothing. They have Sokka.
They have
that is the defense. Like,
I do wish they would go a little bit more into the other people in that tribe, because it's not you don't just see Sokka, Katara, and the grandma.
there's like a couple mothers and kids.
Yeah.
There's no men.
Yeah, that's because
all the men
They're
are
all at war.
Wasn't that? Yeah,
They're all at war.
Yeah.
They're all at war, and all the waterbenders were taken by the firebenders. So it's literally just a bunch of women and kids, and then Sokka.
So where is the war at? Because you say they're all at war. Like, are they just going around guerrilla warfaring?
Well,
so
this is covered later.
Yeah, I know this is something that we'd get into later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Hakoda is Sokka's father.
Yeah.
And Sokka and Katara's father. And Hakoda is basically a chieftain. He is the tribal leader. So when he leaves, Sokka essentially is the chief of the Southern Water Tribe acting.
Mm-hmm.
So while Hakoda's gone, he's traveling with Bato of the Water Tribe and a few other Water Tribe warriors, and they are mostly ambushing Fire Navy ships.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's because of their sailing ability, their skill as sailors, and because most of the Water Tribe warriors, none of them are benders anymore, we have to remember, they have to use stealth-like tactics. So guerrilla warfare in a naval kind of setting.
And my guess is they're probably targeting their choices very well. Like, they obviously aren't running towards the blockade like, we freaking got you guys. But, like, they probably, when they do ambush a ship, they look at the records of other ships, and they're like, oh, there's probably going to be a ship heading this way. Or maybe they're just
about it.
Maybe they're defending, like, the South Pole, but, like, Zuko's ship managed to slip by the moment the beam of light went up. He was like, brr.
And Hakoda has shown himself, not yet, but to be as a very, very smart
Very
strategist.
strategic, yeah.
And so he could be one of those guys like, okay, we're going to have a convoy coming in. We can ambush those ships so we can wreck their supply lines or something along those lines, which obviously this is all speculation, but this makes a very good argument of what they're probably doing.
Yeah.
And then when they're out at war.
Yeah. The episode kind of ends off with they tripped the like flare at the Fire Nation ship, which is where
leads into the next one.
Yep. And Aang also realizes on the Fire Nation ship that he's been frozen. He himself realizes that he's been frozen for 100 years. After they kind of work it out, it clicks, and he's like, and this is the moment where he really feels like, bro, I ran away from being the Avatar, and I was asleep for 100 years. They're saying airbenders are extinct. It's not really all hitting him yet, but all this must just be compounding on like a level of guilt that I personally could not imagine. Just Jesus.
It would come to be even worse in the future with some more of the things that they start going up on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. And one thing that I noticed, or that like I think is cool to notice, is the Fire Nation Navy ship is steel. It has mechanisms that are working 100 years later.
It is industrial.
It's activated with steam power. They have piping. They're in the industrial age, while the Southern Water Tribe they're living in tents with bone tools.
Yeah.
They have whale bone tools, and you have a full-fledged battleship.
Yeah.
You even see the difference in tools specifically when they're on the ship.
Yeah.
Right.
Over all the different tools and shit.
They're looking at steel weapons versus bone weapons.
Yeah.
It's like
draw directly between Sokka
Yep.
and that.
right. It's straight up like
It's also shown that like Zuko wears a kind of a form of body armor while you know.
Well, Sokka's in a parka.
Yeah.
right.
Like,
I hope there's fur lined.
Yeah.
like-
I mean, hope you got some leather, bruh. Like.
And I think that's kind of cool too, though, where it shows like what kind of necessary attire you need for the area that you're in. Whereas like they
show a good difference between the different like groups of people right away.
right like the Southern Water Tribe, they need those big parkas, big coats, because like Katara mentioned, you'll freeze to death.
Also, this is more just on the artistic style in the animation itself. But can we talk about how light and fluid Aang moves? He moves so lightly, so like he gets called Twinkle Toes later on. And I can absolutely imagine how Toph is saying that, and it really well establishes that each of the bending styles is their own thing. Like the air bending is absolutely a lot lighter on your feet and stuff like that, and just for in fire bending seems to be a lot more rigid and quick strikes.
And a lot of the conversations that show Zuko and Iroh in that episode, they're both very not static, but they're very like dug in. They don't do a lot of moving around. It's just kind of like they're doing this thing, they're talking, and they're just kind of like waiting and plotting, but like they're very like stoic about it. They're not very like all over the place.
Exactly.
I also like how they demonstrated how different martial arts can bend differently. Like when Katara's first waterbending, she's, kind of using her arm, trying to float that fish up. Yeah. And Zuko, when he's pissed off about learning the advanced set, he just does one, and just shoots a fireball right out of his foot in a straight line that hits the dude. And it's like, also just a small difference, but it's like a completely different martial art, and it bends in an entirely different way.
It's almost kind of like you're learning with them too, because they're not showing you all this crazy complicated shit early on. It's like
it's establishing possibilities.
Yeah, exactly. This is Katara learning to bring a blob of water up out of the ocean, or like you said, Zuko like learning the forms and the different like more advanced techniques. But it's building up on something.
Right. And I love that aspect of fusing the martial arts with the bending styles naturally, where they took like real martial arts and what if you were there was an extension of this?
Yes.
What if there was an extension of nature from this martial art? That is just so cool.
Yeah.
And animated flawlessly.
So
like
good.
It's so well done.
The animation is done so well, especially for the time that it came out. Like very, very well done. I have no idea what the budget they had was, but Lord knows they did really good with it.
Let me ask you guys something. What do you think about Aang's first view? The first thing he sees when he opens his eyes is Katara.
I mean,
what do you guys think about that?
They go back to that multiple times throughout it. Like, it's definitely a big thing. I don't really have very many thoughts about it, like, specifically, but I just think it's cool. Or, like, it's got to be a weird thing that's, like, immediately this is your new life. Not, like, her being it, but it's, like, this is a person you've never met before. You just woke up. You have no idea of anything else. And it's, like, everyone that you knew is gone, and it's just like, here's new people.
The new world.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
And I think a new life is maybe a better way to say that, because I think you're right that
that's what she kind of ends up being, because that just is kind of the way that they work it out.
Right. And I think that's awesome. I think it's a great establishment of, like, here you are. Like, here's this person who's just as happy to see you as you are them. Because when he looked at her, she's smiling. Yeah. And he's like,
true.
Hey, like, you're cute. I don't know, but
like, what's up? You want to go penguin sledding? What you doing later?
Penguin sledding and chill?
Yeah, penguin.
It will be chilly.
Yeah. So they just watch penguins.
Yeah.
You'd think there'd be more kids.
You'd
think there'd be
perhaps not the 12-year-olds.
You'd think there'd be more kids in the Southern Water Tribe.
Yeah, don't have a lot going on.
Right. All the guys left, and Sokka's just out here.
Christ.
He's on Tinder every night, like, I got options.
6 options, but
like
there's
literally
options.
Trying to light a fire to get someone around.
Yeah.
Okay.
Plot twist: all those kids are Sokka's.
Christ.
I mean, hey, the guys have been gone for 2 years. Those kids look pretty young.
Yeah, the Fire Nation keeps having to come back. It's like, we keep having to get more waterbenders out here. We can't contain them all.
We gotta call the herd, dude. They're gonna overrun us out here.
Actually, just water tribe babes, just the cutest.
Gotcha. Noted.
They just vacation there. It's a Fire Nation vacation spot.
Yeah. And then they just go back and be like, yeah, no, we killed them all. They never do, but they say
never
that.
do. Yeah.
You gotta go check again.
Yo, I was absolutely
you were just there last
slaying
month.
out there.
3 times in 1 month, really? You gotta make sure they're all dead? Well, they might be hiding.
Sir, you might be up for a promotion. I like your gumption.
You really like killing.
All right, and then the episode naturally ends off with Zuko seeing the flare, seeing, Aang, and mentioning he's quite agile for his age. So Zuko still clearly believes that,
he's over 100 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Or, 100-some-odd-year-old person.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think
and he found his hiding spot. Go on.
Yeah,
yes.
He does. He's like, oh, and that's where you've been hiding. So it's kind of clear that, like, from what we've seen with Aang and, like, everything that happened with him versus what Zuko was talked about, there's a difference in information where Zuko, who is on this mission to find the Avatar, doesn't know everything that's
Yeah.
going on.
So it's not even like the isolation of the Southern Water Tribe. It's like literally no one had any idea. No one. Like even the well-industrialized, been sailing around looking for this dude, as far as we know, like a long time, searching for any information.
The people
and has
who
no
have
idea.
him don't know.
Yeah, like bro. But yeah, the episode ends off there. So next episode that we do, we'll be watching episode 2.
The Avatar Returns.
That is the name. I wrote it down and I could not remember it. So this is where we'll probably in the future be posting fan art and stuff of the like. If you have anything that you'd like to submit to us,
paintings, drawings, photography,
we will of course give you credit. Your name will be up here on the screen, and currently up on the screen right now will be the email address that you can send it to. I'd say that's a great idea. I would verbalize these to you right now, but I haven't made them and don't know what they'll be called.
You're going to see our email address, our Twitter, and...
just to let you know, the first one, your hand is completely out of frame.
All right, well, you're going to see our email address, you're going to see our Twitter, and then you're going to see down here is a little picture of Michael.
All right. And then, and now that enough time has passed, here's the meme of the week.
Yes.
We also don't have.
We don't know which one we've picked yet. But it is here.
What a meme!
It's very funny.
Top tier meme.
Top drawer.
Wow, just absolutely.
Drawer.
This is seriously though, like this is some like Blue Label level of meme right here. This is
also
Don Julio reel of memes.
We want to have guests on, so we will start trying to maybe with a Zoom call or something like that.
Yeah.
Try to have guests
Discord.
on, whether it's voice actors, whether it's writers of the comics, whether it's cosplayers on Reddit, whether it's your favorite meme posting page. We're looking to have Avatar fans and guests on, and we'd love to have you on too.
We just want to splurge about this show.
I literally just want to keep talking about this forever.
It's so much fun.
Just always.
I'm so glad to be watching again.
My other friends, they're isolating me.
We are offloading the annoying onto you.